Hello, everyone. Are you looking for some guidance in your diet and hydration to help your body to have more energy, to have healing, and to have better health? That's what we're going to be talking about today. This is the Prosper Nutrition YouTube channel where we want you to prosper and be in health. My name is Jason Steves. I'm a nutrition professional at the Nutrition and Health Center here in Houston, Texas, and I'm joined by my co-host Steve Steves, who is a certified clinical nutritionist and naturopath, founder of the Nutrition and Health Center. And as I mentioned today, we're going to be going through a general guide that we provide clients of ours in regard to their daily eating habits and their hydration. We're doing this because over the last few months, we've spent some very thorough time getting into different topics related to diet and hydration on this station. So if you have questions about certain diets that are popular, like the carnivore or the paleo, we've created some videos on our live feed. So if you go to the live feed on our channel, you'll be able to check those out. And then we've also created several videos on hydration as well. So those are things that we would encourage you to check out videos on our channel. But today we're going to kind of bring it all together in regard to the plan that we provide clients and how you can actually get started today uh, in your own way of implementing these into your lifestyle. And if you want a very personalized plan from us, you can contact our office and you can get started working with us. We can get you on your own personalized daily eating and hydration plan. This is an important topic, Steve, and you've been educating people on this for a long time. Would you say that, how would you say the importance of this is for people in regard to their health goals and their health concerns?
Well, of our seven proven steps really past water, the most important thing is the food, the right amount of food, the timing of the food, and it's not and the quality of the food. People are just not getting it. People aren't
Yeah.
getting enough calories. I rarely see an individual that comes in that's meeting their caloric energy needs. So
Yeah.
in America, because of false propaganda, we have come to believe that calorie is
Oh,
a
right.
negative word. And calories are the assigned energy components of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats.
Yeah.
So, how do we use those in ratio to build structure, to provide energy, to allow for neurotransmission, improve
Yeah.
digestion?
Right.
All of the functions in the body depend on what we eat,
Yeah.
how much we eat, the quality of what we eat, and doing it in the right ratio. So,
So important.
we
Yeah.
had been in clinic work for about 14 years, and when first line therapy came out, they had done extensive research on the most successful diets, and the Mediterranean diet obviously shows up. And they figured out how to utilize the Mediterranean diet with medical food meal plans. Now, most everyone is using some type of a medical food. They're using something, well, they're using some type of added processed food, either a powder to make smoothies or,
Hmm.
but the definitive understanding of the word medical food was given only to a company that we use. And these medical foods were designed to restore body composition of musculoskeletal losses and excess fat gains, restore cardiovascular health, restore digestive health, restore immune competence that's associated with inflammation conditions like arthritis and joint conditions. And what else? There's one other. Oh, and glucose regulation, the
Hmm.
dysglycemia that we see out there. You
Hmm.
know, people get into that state and they start to climb into diabetes in their times of their year life, and they don't know what to do to reset metabolism. So
Yeah.
that's why we use medical food. So I look forward to talking
Yeah.
more about this balance. I know you've got enough number of
Right.
ideas here in the outline.
Yeah. So we're going to be jumping in. We want to give you an idea of the structure and why it's important. We want to make sure that you understand the broad rhythm of eating during the day, and then why it's important to the type of foods that you're eating and how to kind of choose the right amounts of those foods. So, structure does matter in hydration and eating, when we get started, how much we're eating, and the timing of that during the day. Very, very important. This is kind of key because we get people in here that they eat fairly healthy. They eat pretty good sometimes, but sometimes their structure of their day is off. Like we talked about this when we were talking about intermittent fasting. People kind of starving themselves in the morning, and that's something that if it's done repeatedly over, certain years, it can create some imbalances. So that's just an example. So, but the rhythm that we basically, I mean, we're going to get into it in more detail, but we're basically recommending people eat every 3 to 4 hours during the day. And
Why is
that's
why is that?
it's important because blood sugar is something that can create some imbalances in the body if our blood sugar dips too low after a certain amount of time eating.
And then what happens in the body is then there's an alarm state. We've got a problem, so the body has to pull on reserves. Now, a lot of people think, well, here I'm going to go in ketosis, but most people will not go into ketosis because they're pushing adrenaline. And then what happens
Hmm.
is they're going to waste muscle mass to get enough protein. Protein comes from the Greek word proteos and means of first importance, and people they
Yeah.
just don't get enough protein to allow for structure, hormone production,
Mm.
neurotransmission, the repair of gut. Everything depends on protein. And we need that. And that's why the scientists many, many years ago understood the essential amino acids. I believe there's 9. You can't function in life without all of these coming in every day for all these structural function things we talked about.
Right. So, and then making sure we're eating a good quality of foods. Mediterranean style diet is what we focus on. And then in the area of proteins, we encourage people to lean towards clean meats, and clean meaning based on biblical principles. So, avoiding unclean meats like pork and shellfish, because those are higher in toxic load. So this is something that you get down to the food categories, and we've noticed that people really see a lot of improvement in their health when they make these small little adjustments, like avoiding unclean
Yes.
and some other things in regard to fat. So
Well,
we'll get
I'm
into
thinking of
that.
some others too, avoiding rabbit and vultures and roaches and possum and raccoons and kitty cats. And why did God say that? Because those animals were not for human consumption. It's that simple. It's kind of like um, there's just so many things in life that are not designed to be used for
Yeah,
other things. And
right,
that's the bottom line. And that's
right.
why he established that. And now science has proven that the scientific validation of the dietary laws 100% proves that God's word is right. The animals that are more unclean have more toxins in them.
Yeah,
Animals that are clean, more pure meat, better for restoring metabolism.
right,
That's why we eat that way.
right.
Because God said, and it's good enough for me. I don't have to trust anyone else in this life who's coming up with some kind of funky scientific study when it debunks the Word of God, because you can't. It's solid as a rock. It's truth that is coming down from heaven to us. We should follow it. It'll change your life. That's one of the first things we do when we do a Make the Church Healthy Again class, is we challenge people. Why don't you eat according to the dietary laws for a month and then tell us what kind of changes have happened in your life? And remarkable things happen
Hmm.
because they wanted to honor God and not their flesh.
All right. So before we kind of dive into the principles and get some specific information, to personalize your menu plan, we do it based on body composition testing. The type of body composition testing we do here at the Nutrition and Health Center is the in-body body composition testing. We just had a few people that aren't clients yet, actually, just found us through the in-body website, come in this morning and they did their body composition tests. So hopefully we'll be able to provide them with a diet and hydration guide for their needs. But
Yeah, no,
that's
I'd like to do a whole program on breaking down the components of what's in an in-body examination.
yeah.
Now,
That would
most
be
of the
good too.
most of the folks watching that come in for regular clinical work with us, they know because every time a person comes in for a testing, they are getting in-body testing, and
Right.
so they understand what their BMR is.
Right.
And
that's what we base the menu off of, because that gives the in-body test gives us that reading. Basal metabolic rate is what BMR stands for, and so that's what we'll base the menu plan off of. All right. So when we have that, then we start talking about hydration. So we talk about the importance of hydration for metabolism, digestion, detoxification, energy. Hydration, water is so important for many different things, pathways, functions in the body. Our body's made up of 70% water at least, sometimes more. And so we need to make sure we're well hydrated during the day. So some practical tips that we encourage people to follow is drinking at least half your body weight in ounces of water. So for example, that means you're going to drink 100 ounces of water if your body weight is 200 pounds. So I weigh about 170, so I'm needing to drink, what is that, 85 ounces of water at least. But that's like a bare minimum for me, because one of the things that we encourage people to do is add about 20, 30 ounces for activity during the day. So if you're exercising or get out in the sun, you need to add a good chunk of water for that activity, because your body uses more water in those processes as you're doing that activity.
Well, I only weigh 145 pounds, but I'm getting in about 96 ounces a day. Some days up to a gallon. If I'm outside working, it's a gallon.
That's great. Now, here's some more specific things that we found help people get that amount of water in during the day, because sometimes it's hard. And a lot of people drink a lot of water later in the day before bed, and it disrupts their sleep.
Yeah.
And so this is a way that you can start implementing now that can help you balance your water intake during the day.
Well, if they wait too, one of the signs of tissue damage is if you actually are thirsty. You saw me just drink some water. I'm not thirsty, but I'm keeping that rhythm going of the water I need this morning.
Yeah.
So keep hydrating, even though you're not thirsty. Make sure you just meet your quota.
Yeah. If you start feeling thirst, it's a sign that you probably have been needing to hydrate well, hours ago, probably.
And so there's tissue damage that's taking place.
Yeah.
Symptoms mean tissue damage.
Yeah.
And the body's trying to repair itself. It needs your help.
Yeah. So if you're needing to drink, let's say 100 ounces of water during the day, a good rule of thumb to help you front load that hydration and not have to drink too much water later in the day is to try to get approximately 70% of your water intake before or by midday. And so that is a really good kind of goal. But how do you get that started? Water intake right when you wake up is going to be so helpful to get you there. And an estimate of about 20 to 30% of your daily water need for that day would be good to do for within the first 30 minutes. So as soon as you wake up, we encourage people to take a vitamin C drink in the morning. So that would be part of your hydration. But then having an additional to that vitamin C drink. So if it's 100 ounces, 20 to maybe 30 ounces within that first 30 minutes of waking.
Yeah.
And I think you have shared you regularly do that, about 30 ounces.
Yeah, within the first 45 minutes.
Yeah. So that's a good thing that you can start implementing, and you could actually feel the difference. Again, we've mentioned this before in some of our videos on hydration and water intake, but there's a book called Your Body's Many Cries for Water by Dr. Batman Jelich, and he goes into how you will improve your health in many different ways and avoid disease and even recover from disease by just hydrating your body better. Now, some common mistakes, and this is something maybe you can speak to, Steve. There's issues with over caffeinating and having too much sugar when it comes to the drinks. So, what challenges do you find here, and what instruction do you provide in these areas?
Well, I can tell you this. The negativity created by too much caffeine or sugary drinks causes people obesity, diabetes,
Mm,
heart disease, and the list goes on and on. So we don't need sugary drinks. In fact, Daniel in the Bible chose not to drink the sugary drinks and eat the rich foods of the kings. And he was only 14 years old. And the eunuchs who were serving the food as they were in the service to King Nebuchadnezzar said, well, if you don't eat this, the king will have our heads because you won't be as healthy and able to do the service for the king. And Daniel knew he could make a difference by eating healthier and drinking just water, and so he did. And so his testimony is he's more intelligent, they are wiser in the things of God, and they have a countenance that's healthier than everybody else in the entire kingdom in just a 10-day period.
mm,
But when you put that into practical terms today, you will just feel better, have more energy. People are going to start noticing, wow, your skin looks healthier.
mm,
You're radiating a different aura of energy because you're charging cells with good water. Mineral water is important to get in there to charge the cells and not to have sugary water that depletes your cells.
mm.
So you can make a difference and people notice when you hydrate.
Right. That's good. All right. So hydration, very important. We may touch on it a little bit more on this video, but we're going to kind of step into the food area and kind of talk about that. So key principles here is timing, and this is key for not just the food but also the water, but timing. So we did talk a little bit about timing in regard to the water intake first thing and then 70% before midday. But timing your water intake and your food intake, because we don't want to drink too much water while we eat. That can dilute your body's digestive juices while you're eating. So that's something that we teach people. I remember when we were kids, you kind of taught us that, and we kind of grew up not drinking really any water during the meals. Now, that doesn't mean you can't drink any water. Maybe you can sip on it. That's fine. But you don't want to be filling your belly with, and that's what I've noticed people will often do is they'll start feeling that thirst while they're eating a meal and they start drinking a bunch of water.
Right.
And so
It's unfortunate.
that's something you want to kind of switch where if you're making sure you're hydrating between meals, you probably will feel much better during your meals and not be so thirsty. So, when it comes to food, we encourage you to try to get breakfast every single day. And breakfast being approximately within an hour of
Yeah.
waking up.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're waking up, let's say at 6 in the morning, you want to have breakfast by around 7 in the
Right.
morning.
And that's based on the scientific research. If you want metabolism to function properly, feed metabolism. Don't let it keep starving or don't just give it a stimulant and rev yourself up for the day. You will lose muscle mass. You will lose vital energy.
Yeah.
You will lose a lot of function from mental health, digestive
Yeah.
health. It just,
That's a big part of it, I feel, is a lot of the mental, emotional component as well. And then the cravings. That's one of the things I've noticed, even for myself, is if I am better about eating well in the morning, first thing, my desire for food later in the day, like I tend to have much less of an appetite later in the day if I'm really good about eating a great breakfast. Versus if I don't, I can tell I just want to eat so much more later in the day.
the BMR that we have
Mhm.
is telling us based on our activity level, and that's what we calculate for every individual who gets an in-body test and they can know their BMR. It tells them exactly what they need to eat. And if they don't get enough, you're going to have the cravings at night.
Yeah.
You're going to wake up in the middle of the night because the brain's going to be low in blood sugar and it's going to want you to eat something so that you can fuel the brain so it can keep producing growth hormone so that you can repair and wake up refreshed and energetic. The body, it keeps the score. In fact,
Right.
there's a book
Yeah.
that I'm reading called that. I'll bring that next week and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
How the body keeps score
Okay.
in many ways, not just the physical, but the mental, emotional, the spiritual.
Right.
You
Right.
can't fool God's creation. He's too perfect.
Yeah.
So our bodies are a lot smarter than we are.
Yeah.
We need to learn how to listen to it.
It's good. All right. So eating breakfast within an hour of waking up. Now, we did talk about hydration. So the way that works out is you'll see, okay, you're drinking from waking up till about 30 minutes after you wake up, you're drinking a lot of water. So you have about a 30-minute window between when you're done drinking all that water to when you have breakfast, so your body can kind of get hydrated and not be kind of too hydrated in your stomach and dilute your digestive
Right.
juices.
That water will move through the stomach,
Yes.
but you'll also have enough water in the bloodstream
Yeah.
that the hydrochloric pumps, what do they call those little uh, cells?
Yes.
In parietal cells
Yes.
in the gut producing hydrochloric acid, and you're
They'll be
making
well hydrated.
right. They're going to make those acids for you as long as you've hydrated your blood.
Right. And the liver is a big part of that too. The liver needs a lot of water to help with that process as well.
Well, in the cleansing process, and
Yeah.
that second and third phase of liver detoxification, utilizing the water molecule to pull out a toxic substance. So
Right.
hydration is so important.
And so we have that 30-minute gap between when you're done getting that, 20 to 30% of your water first thing, and then when you have breakfast. And so that's a good kind of spacing. After you eat meals, you want to have about an hour amount of time between when you're done eating and when you start hydrating again. So there's windows. There's kind of you're rotating between nourishing with food, hydrating, nourishing, hydrating. And so that's a pattern that if you get into that pattern, it's going to be much better for you. You're going to have unlimited energy during the day. Your body's just going to be full of energy. You're going to be going, you know, and you don't need any caffeine. That's another thing.
Right.
Like your body won't need any caffeine at all. So now with eating, we talked about breakfast after an hour of waking up. That starts your clock in regard to eating during the day because there's another timing component, which is the frequency. We talked a little bit about that already. Making sure that your body is not dipping too low as far as blood sugar. So you have to maintain a 3, at the max 4, but ideally around 3 hours. You want to have your meals every 3 hours.
Now you're not going to be hungry. Most of the time you
That's
won't
true.
be because you're busy and doing things. You have to calm yourself. You have to step back from what you're doing and honor God and do that just with a simple 1-minute prayer. And I encourage the 1-minute app for people. Doing deep abdominal breathing. You can literally go from an adrenaline state with no hunger whatsoever. In fact, I like to describe this to people. They're driving home in the evening and they're not hungry. They're running on adrenaline from the afternoon and they're almost home. And they get close to the house and they roll a window down. It's kind of a cool day. Envision this. And then there's a restaurant close by that some of the smoke from the grill comes into your vehicle and you smell it and you take a deep, relaxing breath and your face is warmed in the sun. You sit there at the light for a minute or so, and all of a sudden you relax, and your body says, I'm hungry, feed me. And it's like a switch is flipped when you go from sympathetic dominance that people do all day long, and that's why they burn out burn out their gland function, to parasympathetic relaxation. We have to control that during the day and force ourselves to breathe deep, to do mental focusing. And what Philippians 4 says, think on what is good, what is pure, what is holy, what is righteous, what is lovely, what is just. And that isn't usually going to come through social media. Well, there's some great social media things that are posted out there, but Excuse me. It only takes a negative word to cause a flare up and put you in an adrenal what if scenario, and you're fearful, and that's
Mhm.
not a mode we want to be in. So that really interferes with digestion.
Mhm.
Reset, relax, and let the body
Yeah.
eat and nourish.
Yeah, and I even notice when I calm, my peristalsis increases and I have to use the bathroom, so my body eliminates better. And we definitely know that the repair and healing mechanisms of the body function much better when you're in that more calm
Yeah. Well, the
state.
digestive organs shut off when adrenal overdrive is happening.
Right.
Sympathetic dominance will shut all organ systems down just to save your life, to give you that blood flow and that adrenaline, that shakiness you feel in your muscles
Yeah.
because you're in hyperdrive.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So
Like,
eating every 3 hours during the day. Let's get back to that example. 6 o'clock waking up, 7 o'clock breakfast. And that means around 10 o'clock a snack, around between 12 and 1
lunch, yeah,
lunch, and then 4, 3,
five
4
to five. So
snack, and
like
then dinner maybe around 6, 7, maybe at the latest.
now, most people will not get a balance of the macronutrients at all those different times. That's what we set up for everybody.
Hmm.
So we usually, when I mentioned the medical foods earlier and the different categories of those, chances are you fit in one of those categories and you need to be on a medical food to keep your body guarded. Paul even said in scripture, I have a thorn in the flesh. It's a humbling of my nature, right? A weakness that he had
Hmm.
that keeps him humble. And I have thorn in my flesh. I know what that is. There's certain
Right.
foods I cannot eat, or I'm inflamed the next day, or my immune system goes, bonkers, and I start having problems. So really encourage that balanced eating and using a medical food. And in the afternoon, that's easy. I just mix it up in water and drink it, and it carries me through till dinner,
Mm.
which is what we say about 7 o'clock ish. For
Yeah.
most people, you'll see dinner about 7 o'clock, sometimes earlier than that. But then a light snack before bed, maybe some nut butter with a fruit to
Yeah.
get a little bit more blood sugar for the brain to help relax and
Yeah, I think that that is something that people kind of get concerned about eating late, but a lot of times they have cravings and they eat late based on cravings, and then when they start getting on, well, I need to start doing healthier, I shouldn't eat late. They think, well, I shouldn't eat at all. But sometimes if you're having trouble with sleep, like falling asleep or staying asleep, that's something that really helps a lot, is
it's
having a little
remarkable.
bit
Yeah.
of healthy nutrients, maybe a 30 minutes or an hour before bed.
Now, all the
So,
categories that we break down in the Mediterranean diet, you got your proteins, your category one vegetable, your category two starch vegetable,
mhm,
you've got your fruits, you've got your nuts and seeds, you've
right.
got your oils, your legumes, an important category. Don't listen to the guy on
There's a lot of
social
guys that
media saying,
say
don't eat your legumes when God said eat them. And they've even
legumes
got in
are
the
good.
Bible. That's what Daniel ate, and that's what they ate in Israel. And they got some healthy people over there.
Preparing legumes is the key.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of times, what do they say? The lectins in legumes are bad.
right,
There's always good and bad in all of our food. If we
right.
just isolated all the bad components of all of our foods, yeah, it would be toxic to us.
And
But
I don't know. I know we call them bad, just like we call the LDL cholesterol the bad cholesterol,
right,
but it's more of a balancing effect
right,
that it has.
yeah.
It's not a nutrient, but a balancing nutrient. It's an anti-nutrient. Like there's goitrogens in broccoli.
Hmm.
There are different things that they've discovered in food, and it's like, well, if you knew that there was a negative food item in the food that you're eating and you didn't eat it, we would all starve.
Yeah, right.
Because
Yeah,
that's
there's always something.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that's what I appreciate you going through that, because that's one of the things that we were wanting to make sure you're aware of is there's different categories in the food guide that we provide. There's different categories of foods. And so based on your basal metabolic rate, how many calories you're burning in a 24-hour period, there's a certain number of each categories, and it's all balanced to where you have what is it? 40% carbohydrates, 30% protein, and 30% fat, which is a great balance for your daily needs of those
Yeah.
macronutrients.
That's approximated, but when you get into, like we were saying, a category two vegetable versus the last category that I didn't mention after legumes was, and oils is grain.
Hmm.
Some people are more grain sensitive, and we need to stick with certain types of grains to be safe. I know I'm
Right.
very grain sensitive,
Yeah.
but I do okay on certain grains like millet and rice
Hmm.
and sorghum and things like that. But
Right.
regular wheat, especially American wheat, and the
Yeah.
gluten is a real issue. So those categories also need to fit, and the timing of those throughout the day. So it keeps that blood sugar balance. It keeps sugar stored in muscle for sustained energy, and you are round the clock energetic like you're supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, and when you get a menu plan, we call it a menu plan or a food menu from Nutrition and Health Center, it provides you with a list of foods that's basically going to be like a shopping list or how you're going to build your meals. Now, if you have like favorite meals, you can create healthy versions of your favorite
Yes.
meals. And so there's all sorts of options. So you're not really limited with this menu. It is going to be based on whole foods, right? So there's not the only thing on our menu plan that's usually processed is going to be like a sourdough bread or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's really the only thing that is going to be recommended that's a processed food. But you don't even have to have the bread.
Right.
You could even
Yeah, that
just
one's
do.
a kind of a marginal
Yeah,
discussion with a lot of people because of their GI sensitivity
right.
to grains. But
Right. So we wanted to make sure you understood how the food works. And as we mentioned, the hydration goes between those rotations of every 3 to 4 hours, you hydrate between. So 30 minutes before meals, an hour after meals. So you've got usually about an hour and a half window approximately where you're going to be hydrating between meals and snacks. Now, we talked about swapping out, making sure you're avoiding sodas and caffeines. Do herbal teas, do carbonated water drinks like Perrier or what's the other one that you like to do? I will have it sometime.
Pellegrino.
Pellegrino.
Yeah.
So that's something that you can do. Replace processed snacks with just prepping yourself with having some fruits or vegetables. There, you could do something like where you have apples and almond butter or apples and some sort of almonds, pecans with you. I like to do pumpkin seeds. You kind of bring that with you during the day. You could cut up some vegetables and have a hummus prepared. And so those are better ways to prepare yourself for the snack times so you avoid eating packaged, junk food.
I'd
So,
like to share a little bit more on that.
yeah.
Whenever you're doing a snack, you want to think the trinity of foods, protein, carbs, and fat. I mean, you can get away with maybe some carb, like some hummus and some vegetables for a snack. There's a little bit of protein in hummus, but if you don't have enough protein, there's a real critical balance of what the body does between glucagon, serotonin, and insulin for storing sugar and
Mm,
keeping that maintenance of energy going for your body. And if there's too many meals, like there was somebody in recently and they were having snacks, they're eating the 5 to 6 meals a day as we just laid out.
hmm
And they were having their snacks, but their snacks were basically fruits.
hmm
And I challenged this individual who was losing muscle
hmm
to get some protein in there and to also incorporate some quality fatty foods like avocado, nuts and seeds, and so forth. So it makes a huge difference in just how you feel, and the energy goes all day long.
It's good. And then making sure you're aware of the hydrogenated oils in your diet and replacing those with healthy oils and fats. So using things like extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil or coconut oil, even using ghee or really healthy butter is a better option than using hydrogenated oils or seed oils or canola oil, things like that. These
Agreed.
things are going to be really toxic to your body. So getting a switch for that. And the menu that we provides a switch option for those things as well. Now, putting it all together, we want to kind of show you what an example day, just a real brief picture of what an example day can look like. And so we'll zoom in here. Let's see here. So we can do, you mentioned shakes, so you can do a fruit smoothie and then you can incorporate a powder. We have our
Medical
medical
food,
food powder.
medical food.
And then a mid-morning snack. So you get some of that protein category with an egg and then apple and nuts.
Yeah, most people would do better on two eggs there, but
Make two, right.
a lighter metabolism might only have one.
Right. This is based on a 2000 calorie. Well, this might be actually a little bit different than that, but midday meal, getting some turkey with salad, so getting your greens. We did kind of touch on vegetables. Getting a Dr. Atkins, he saw great results with people improving their health with about 4 cups of vegetables a day. So that's what we encourage people to try to do. And so getting a nice big salad or a good amount of your vegetables in midday is always a good idea. And then this is incorporating some hummus with some quinoa vegetable soup. So a good balanced meal, maybe even having some avocado in there with that meal as well. And then another smoothie or shake in the mid-afternoon to get some nourishment with fruit and some good fats with the flaxseed oil, cold pressed is what you want to do with the flaxseed oil. And then a dinner. So this has got salmon with some Yukon Gold potatoes, not regular white, brown, or red potatoes. Those are very sugary, very starchy. We try to do Yukon Gold or sweet potatoes, and you stick to those, you'll be good. Now that's a limited serving because they're more starchy as far as vegetables. That's a different type of vegetable. Category 2 is what it's called on our menu. Now, getting a good amount, again, a good amount of vegetables with dinner as well to get your 4 cups in a day, and then good fats. And then you mentioned, Steve, maybe before bed, having a little bit of nourishment there, if you feel that you need it and to get your amount of nutrients in during the day. So that's a good example for a balanced day of eating and hydration, as we mentioned, but about an hour and a half window between. So if you eat at 7 o'clock and you have about an hour between that meal. So around 8, between 8 and 8:30, you're going to hydrate. You're going to hydrate from there until about 9:30-ish. And then you're going to have your snack again at 10. And then that rotate goes around again, another 3-hour increment. So that's how you're going to create a daily diet and hydration habit that's going to help your body to heal. You're going to create a rhythm, you're going to have unlimited amounts of energy. You're going to have your body being well nourished and healthy, so you have good mental focus, good attitude adjustments. You're going to be able to handle stresses much, much better. And then again, your body's able to repair. It's focus its attention on repairing and healing. And so we just see it time and time again, people seeing those great results.
I want to capitalize on what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
People lack in repair, as we know,
Mm-hmm.
because they abuse this and they don't get enough nourishment to repair and rebuild.
Yeah.
And so this is a lot of work, folks. It wasn't designed to originally be so much work.
Yeah.
Because we were in the Garden of Eden in a perfect environment, and God put us in a place where basically he put us in the kitchen. The garden was a kitchen, right? And all Adam and Eve had to do was walk around and grab it from here and grab it from there
He
and
prepared
drink water.
everything.
He had everything prepared for them.
Yeah.
Now, because of this fallen world, you have to do the preparations.
Yeah.
If you plan to fail to nourish your body won't live out the fullness of the days that you're called to live.
Yeah.
And I want to. I just so in love playing
Yeah.
with my grandkids,
Mhm.
and I want to have more vitality and more energy. So even when my great grandkids come,
Yeah.
that I'll be able to do energetic things that they love to do.
Yeah, and in regard to that hard work, folks, it's hard work at the beginning because of the shift in habits. But once you get the habit down, it becomes much more simple and easy. So
Amen.
for the first, few weeks, it takes a little bit more. But if you're making sure that the night before you're spending a little bit of time thinking about what you're doing as far
Yeah.
as meals and snacks the next day and
Perfect.
hydration. Just a few minutes, 5 minutes. And then on Sundays, spend, 30 minutes, an hour planning for your week.
Right. Load
If
up
you
your
just,
pantry.
and that's what, like, let's just say an hour and 5 minutes, 6 days a week. So that's 30, that's an hour and 30 minutes of your week, your entire week, that you're just spending a little bit more time with planning and prep for this balanced eating. And
But
so that's very
yeah,
doable.
the ripple effect of that, though,
Yeah.
you don't even imagine the kind of vitality that you can live out.
Right.
It's remarkable.
Right. Well, thank y'all for watching. We hope this has been helpful to you. Please like the video and subscribe. Share this video with friends that you feel like that benefit from this, that want to learn more about the healthy eating habits and other healthy options. Now, if you are wanting to get a personalized food and hydration guide from us at the Nutrition and Health Center, you can contact us. Call our office at 281 440-0024, and we can schedule a time for you to come in for an in-body and a follow-up visit so that we can create this plan for you. We want to help you reach your health goals. We want you to prosper and be in health. That's why we're here. We're trying to educate you on these principles. We're living it ourselves, and we're committed to helping you overcome disease and achieve abundant health for not only yourself, but even for your family and the generations to come. We really want to see that for y'all. So thank y'all so much for being a part. We look forward to seeing you next time. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, I'm on to eating
Yep.
more food. God bless you all. Thanks for watching.
Take care.